Hey everybody, it's Matt Shu from Upright Health, and I have a confession to make before we start this video. It may be really difficult for you to believe, given my demographics, but when I was younger, when I was a wee lad, I used to play a lot of video games. I used to play video games that weren't educational, even though I did play some educational video games that taught me how to type really fast. I also played a lot of video games that were not strictly educational. I played a lot of video games that involved killing things and bombing things and sabotaging things and punching things and kicking things and setting things on fire and setting more things on fire and then setting those things that are already on fire again. So I did a lot of video game playing when I was younger. And I did a lot of stuff on the computer, a lot of typing, all that. I'm part of the generation that watched the internet like work its tendrils into our brain. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about today is related to that, and it's whether or not video games, computers can cause us chronic pain. And this seems like for some people is probably a really obvious question and has a really obvious answer, but for some people it's not quite so obvious. So I want to address some things about this topic so that it's as clear as possible for the biggest number of people. So the first thing I want to address is something that's going to seem unrelated to this topic, but the thing I want to demonstrate to you and have you think about is the idea of a stress position. So the CIA and I'm sure every other secret agency, secret security agency in the United States and abroad, they are aware of these, or they are not just aware of, but they utilize things called stress positions when they are interrogating people and doing things that may be okay in video games but really aren't so nice in the real world. So stress positions are positions you put people in that become really, really, really painful once you've been in that position for a very long period of time. So I'm in a stress position right now. Right now I've only been in it for about 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes, and it's really not that bad. The question is, how is this going to feel after 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours? If you are guessing really uncomfortable, if you are thinking that being in this particular position for like 10 hours would get really painful, I would say you're probably right. This is a stress position. It's not that unique. It's not like it's not a position that's all that awkward for me anyway to be in. But if I stay in it long enough, it's going to be really uncomfortable. So now let's talk about a position that is maybe more relatable to your life. It's not really known as a stress position, but it should look pretty familiar. I'm sitting here, maybe I'm at the airport, maybe I'm at a park, maybe I'm at a cafe. And I've got my notebook computer and I'm just tippity tap 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 typing away as the world and life pass me by. I'm engrossed in whatever is here on the internet in front of me. And I'm here pretty comfortably for the first 2, 3, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. I can be in this position pretty comfortably, not an issue, for a while. But then you want to ask yourself, how comfortable am I going to be after 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. Remember, the thing that makes stress positions stressful is the length of time. If you adopt a position that is comfortable now, that doesn't mean that position is going to be comfortable when you're in it for an extremely long period of time. So when we're thinking about chronic pain, or we think about just the pain of day-to-day life, just think about what the cumulative effect is of sitting in the same position for, say, 10 hours, and then taking a brief rest, and then going to do that same position for several more hours. You can see how this position, even though it's not really a stressful position, can easily become a problem over time. And that's actually something that came up in a documentary that you can check out online. The documentary I'm referring to is actually called Man vs. Snake. It's a really funny documentary, really interesting. It involves some really serious video game players who are attempting to stake out their claim on becoming a world champion nibbler player. And I actually remember iterations of the game Nibbler. When I was younger, I played Snake on the computer. I actually never played Nibbler in an arcade, but through the magic of your imagination and this squat stand piece, we're going to pretend that I've got a Nibbler machine right here. So Nibbler was an arcade game, and for some of the younger viewers, so you know, video games used to be really large. They used to be about almost, I mean, not as big as a phone booth, which you also may not be familiar with, but they were very large machines with big screens in them, and then you had a joystick. I'm sure you know what that is, and buttons that you would hit and push and all that. So you would basically be standing at a machine and playing for a while. Now, in this documentary, Man vs. Snake, they talk about these world champion video game players playing the game Nibbler for periods exceeding 30 hours. And in this documentary, they talk about how after, I forgot if it was, I don't remember where they showed the cutoff in the movie, but they mentioned after a long number of hours, I'm assuming it's probably 12 hours, 10 hours, even 4 hours. After several hours, the video game players start to experience aches and pains. Their feet will hurt, their butts will hurt, their backs will hurt, their hands will hurt from using the controller. Their eyes will start to go, right? They'll start to get neck strain, shoulder strain. And then once they've reached like the 30-hour mark, everything is hurting, right? They are playing so much and in this position, which in the beginning is relatively comfortable, but they've been doing it so much that the body starts to ache and scream at them. And that's a really important thing to notice. Again, it's an example of what happens when you've been in the same position or you've been doing the same thing over and over and over again. So what does that mean in terms of video games and computers? How should we think about these things? Well, it's really important to remember, again, stress positions become painful positions because we're in them for so long. Yeah, you can contort your body and make them more stressful, but even the most comfortable position, even if you're just lying down, if you do it for long periods of time or long enough periods of time, they become uncomfortable. The way modern life is set up now, where we're using computers, tablets, playing video games, whatever it is, we're constantly in very similar positions, but what happens is the screen distracts us, right? We're staring at, this site, and then we're heading over to this web page, and then we're looking at this, and then we're reading this Reddit thread, and then we're on CNN, and then we're over here on Huffington Post and realize, well, there's not really much interesting to read here that's actually useful, and then we hop over here and we look at cute kittens, and then we're back over here and there's a moving GIF that's really cute, and then we need to send a message and then an email. So there's constant stimulation where our brains are happy. Our brains are like, yes, give me more bright, shiny things, but our bodies are still remaining in the same position the whole time. So what ends up happening is something that has happened to me, and happened to me a lot for a number of years, and still occasionally happens. Basically, our brains get so distracted that our bodies are left to suffer. And then the pain signals kind of get blocked out for a while anyway. And then once we kind of zone out, once we kind of unplug and get off of the screen, get off of the computer, we go, oh man, a lot of things hurt, right? And then you repeat the cycle enough times, and then things hurt enough to get your attention even when you're on the computer. So then you need to do things to make sure that your body is getting enough movement so they stop hurting, right? That pain that we feel when we're at the computer or playing video games all the time is not a pain that means something is necessarily broken. It's a pain that tells you to get your butt up out of the seat and go do something, because your body is just not, it's just not comfortable when it's left in the same position all the time? So, quick answer, do video games and computers cause chronic pain? I think the answer is a pretty resounding yes. Can you do anything about it? The answer is also a resounding yes. So I hope that perspective helps you out, and I hope you remember that pain sucks. Life shouldn't. Let's see, what's next on my Netflix queue? Oh, Black Mirror. If you're looking for another way to learn some things and kill some time, be sure to subscribe to the channel and check out some of our other videos on topics that relate to your body and your health.